Jamaal Reacts, new episode. It's been a while. Thought I would react to this very interesting video about the face of the league. Let's see what y'all think.
First, there was Julius Erving, aka Dr. J, the high flyer whose afro shimmered like Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon. He was the ultimate showman, Vince Carter before Vince Carter. Then came Magic and Bird, a rivalry that started in college and became the NBA's ultimate lifeline. Long story short, the league was struggling in the 70s. Then Magic and Bird got drafted, and suddenly the NBA was must-see TV. The league rode their wave all the way to 1984, when a man named Michael Jordan came on the scene.
Real quick about Magic and Bird. People need to understand, when they talk about the WNBA and they don't make money and they're not profitable, it's true. And them asking for money when your league isn't profitable, or even just more, I guess, revenue share, the point is that it still ends up being more money, right? It's kind of stupid because the league is clearly saying structurally they can't handle paying you that much. That's what it says, until you guys can really make money. But the truth is, the NBA, from 1947 to 1977, the NBA wasn't exactly successful financially. It took time. And Magic and Bird were the reason. Like, the NBA was in syndication. If you know what that means, it means they tape what you do and they just play it later. Sometimes they play it at 1 a.m., midnight. So they didn't have enough viewership to even have games aired live. That came after Magic and Bird. That actually set the stage for MJ. MJ blew it off he blew the lid off the house, blew the top off the house. But Magic and Bird actually set precedence for him to even do that.
Everyone knew he was a star, but no one could have predicted just how big he'd become. If Dr. J was a legend, MJ was a phenomenon. He didn't just elevate the game. He launched the NBA into a stratosphere unlike anything ever seen or duplicated. Near the tail end of Jordan's reign, a 17-year-old kid landed in Los Angeles, Kobe Bryant, the NBA's next gold mine. The flair was obvious, the skill undeniable, and the moments unforgettable. The fact that he played like Mike, that was just the cherry on top. But if Michael Jordan was a rocket, then LeBron James was a meteor. The chosen one before he even stepped foot in the league. LeBron became arguably the most polarizing star in sports. For 20 plus years, he hasn't just played in the NBA, he's carried it.
20 plus years. Averaging 25 points for 20 years is retardedly insane. No, he did not win all his championships. Yes, he choked against Dallas. I said it for all the haters before you say it, because you guys bring up his negatives no matter what you say about him. I don't care. At the end of the day, 25 points a year for 20 years is insane.
Up and under, throws it off the backboard. Oh, what a perfect pass.
The TNT doubleheader. James accelerates and put it down.
And now, at 40 years old, he's still one of the most dominant players in the league. Still the most talked about figure in the sport, which is a huge issue. What in the world is the NBA going to do when LeBron James no longer exists? If it's not obvious by now, the guys we just talked about, they weren't just great. They were the faces of the NBA. These are the players that the NBA attaches itself to in order to sell tickets, merchandise, and the game itself.
This is a big point, because this is what I say to people, because they'll say, like, Steph's the face of the league. And I'm like, if it's not LeBron, it's definitely Steph. But like Durant, like Kevin Durant's a great player. He's not a standout. Like, he's not a leader. He said it himself. He just kind of wants to hoop. Like, you can't sell the league on the back of Kevin Durant the way you can sell the league on the back of LeBron. You know what I mean? So like Isaiah Thomas one time was on Undisputed. What was that? The 2017 finals. And, they were like, so, Skip thinks Kevin Durant's better, at least for a couple of years. And Isaiah Thomas is like, I look at LeBron in a whole different category. You're accepting leadership, and we literally can use you to market the league, better than anyone. Like, those are things that also go into who's the better player and who's really the face of the league. It's not just, jump shot shooting.
More than any other sport, the foundation of the NBA is built on solo individuals and their ability to attract viewers. Fans obviously have teams that they follow, but a big portion of NBA chatter is tied to the face of the NBA. But what qualifies you to be the face of the league? One of the most obvious traits of a future face is sheer dominance. Michael Jordan, for example. The moment he stepped on the NBA court, he was a huge problem.
Michael averaged 28 points a game as a rookie. Chew on that.
Averaging nearly 30 points per game as a rookie, he didn't just show flashes. He was a fully formed superstar from the jump. His athleticism, skill, and killer mentality were immediately on display, making it clear that the Bulls had landed a generational talent. When a player enters the league and dominates from day one, Their face of the league trajectory is much easier to predict. With Jordan, the NBA knew they had something special almost instantly. He became the league's most exciting player in the late 80s, but once Magic Johnson and Larry Bird began to fade, he officially took over. His dominance was too obvious to ignore. Now, contrast that with Kobe Bryant. By the time he retired, he cemented himself as the second greatest shooting guard of all time, and one of the most decorated players in NBA history. Coming straight out of high school, he had all the tools: athleticism, confidence, and an advanced skill set. But superstardom was far from a guarantee.
Even more impressive about Kobe, I believe Kobe himself said he was only 6'4" and like maybe 6'4.5" without shoes. So the whole 6'6" thing, we know that the NBA can generally list a player, up or down. AI is 6'1" and Kevin Durant 6'9". Like Kobe himself, I believe, said he was only about 6'4" without shoes. So to dominate the way he did was, even at, a little bit undersized. He was kind of a combo guard size, not really a true shooting guard size.
The 1997 Slam Dunk Contest was his first real introduction to the world, showcasing his electrifying talent and hinting at what was to come. However, his early years were far from smooth. He played limited.
Yo, when Kobe used to try to make them faces and do the little, he used to be so overboard. Like, bro, Kobe was trying to make you understand that he felt like he had kahunas. Like, all right, man, like he was doing too much some of those times. But the slam dunk contest was dope. But I'm talking about like the faces and like you know what I mean? When you're trying to like be accepted, sometimes you do like the kind of stuff everybody do.
Minutes as a rookie and started just 7 games in his first 2 seasons. Unlike Jordan, whose greatness was undeniable from day one, Kobe had to fight for his opportunity. Even in the 97 playoffs, when he shot the infamous air balls against the Utah Jazz, it was a reminder that he was still raw. This slow start affected how he was perceived. While Jordan was immediately placed on a path to becoming the face of the league, Kobe had to prove himself over time. Even when Kobe
had to get better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've even heard people be like, they didn't let him start from jump. He fought through some guards. He did fight through some guards in LA. He did. But the point is, as a rookie, Kobe wasn't ready. He needed time, and it's okay. He was 17 when he got drafted. It's perfectly okay that he needed time, but it should also be perfectly okay to admit, like Jordan, like LeBron, honestly, on a lesser level, Kobe honestly wasn't ready on day one. He just wasn't.
He became an all-star by year 3 and won his first championship by year 4, he was still in Shaq's shadow. The face of the league just isn't about talent. It's about timing, narrative, and perception. This contrast highlights why predicting the league's next face isn't an exact science. Some players are instant stars, and it's easy to imagine them carrying the league for the next decade. Others take longer to develop, and by the time they reach their prime, the NBA has already shifted. This brings us back to LeBron James. Let's be real, the league has been riding LeBron's wave from the moment he was drafted. You'd be hard-pressed to find another athlete in any sport who came in with the kind of hype he had. At 17, he was already on the cover of Sports Illustrated with the caption that said it all, "The Chosen One." And if
like to say LeBron could have been drafted to the NBA in his junior year is just crazy. Like people really felt that way. Like Danny Ainge really was like, yo, there's not many people I would keep it's not many people I would keep in exchange for getting him. Even when he was like 17, like y'all don't understand. He's always been different. David West went on Undisputed. I miss Undisputed. I ain't gonna lie. He went on there and he was like, yo, he always been different. We was eating pizza and wings and subs and fries. He was eating salad. He was stretching. He's always been different. Like how you do anything is how you do everything. Even if you don't like LeBron, he's always just been different.
that wasn't enough, the article straight up claimed that the high school junior LeBron James would be a lottery pick right then and there. That's a bold statement. You could take it one of 2 ways. Either it was pure disrespect to the actual NBA prospects in 2002, or LeBron was just that different. With all due respect to that draft class, I'm rolling with the second option. And clearly so was the then analyst and current Utah Jazz GM, Danny Ainge, who didn't even try to hide his thoughts. If I were a general manager, there are only 4 or 5 NBA players that I wouldn't trade to get him right now. I love Jason Williams at Duke, and I heard of the Chinese guy. But if LeBron came out this year, I wouldn't even have to think about it. I'd take him number 1. Think about that.
That's crazy. Like, come on. Like, if, like, sometime when I say good things about LeBron, because people know I'm a fan, they act like I don't have no good argument, no kind of way, no kind of how. The truth of the matter is, Michael got cut in high school at one point. LeBron was 11th grade being, you're hearing he could be drafted like, I mean, if you look at that 2002 class, Drew Gooden and Yao Ming, that wasn't a particularly strong class. So to be honest, it's not hard for a couple of different number ones in the history, to be honest, to be better than that 2002 class. Not just LeBron. Let me also say that. It's some other number one picks that if they were around in 2002, older or newer, I'd have took them instead of that class. Yao Ming was great. Drew Gooden was a star in college and just not a star in the pros, and that's fine. But, yeah.
High school kid was getting the nod over the reigning National College Player of the Year and a literal 7'6" unicorn in Yao Ming. That's not just hype. That's the kind of anticipation the NBA lives for. The league needs a storyline to keep fans locked in, and LeBron had one straight out of a movie script. And here's the kicker. The hype wasn't just media talk. It was real. LeBron's high school games got so crazy that St. Vincent St. Mary had to move home games to the University of Akron's 5,100-seat arena just to fit the crowd. The tickets were going for $100 a pop for a high school game. That's next level attention. The NBA wasn't just getting a young star. They were getting a phenomenon. The next face of the league was already loaded. To understand how insane it is for a player to become the face of the NBA, you have to look at the numbers. First, just getting to the NBA is a statistical long shot. Out of over 540,000 high school basketball players in the US, only 3.5% even make it to the college level. From there, just one.
This is why I tell people, stop telling these young folks they can't do it. You can't go to the NBA, you can't go to the NFL. That's unrealistic. Don't tell them that. Tell them the odds and then tell them the work it takes and let their actions decide. But you don't tell somebody that. This whole fuck your dreams movement. No, fuck that. Dream, but understand the steps. Have a backup plan. Millionaires get paid 7 different ways every month anyway, right? Most regular people are broke and can't figure out why when you have one income. Duh, you need more incomes, right? But like 3.5% of high school players actually play college ball. So if your work ethic ain't waking up at 5 a.m. to train before school, training when you get home from school, you're not going to make the pros. But you can. But these odds are real. These odds are real. Like, it's very hard. So imagine being drafted out of high school and averaging 25 for 20 years. You didn't go to college. That's what Gilbert Arenas was saying to Rashad McCants. Michael and Kobe both benefited from the same system LeBron never stepped foot in. So if the guy who never stepped foot in the system can get 4 rings and the people who were in the system got 5 and 6, he's only 1 away from one of them and 2 away from the other. You don't think the system could have benefited him to the tune of 2 more rings? So is Jordan really better?
1.1% of draft-eligible NCAA players actually get drafted into the NBA. If you're counting, that's about 0.02% of all high school players making it to the league. But even getting drafted is far from a ticket to stardom. Historically, about 65% of number 1 picks turn into all-stars. That's like 7 out of 10. Not bad if you're a GM looking to hit big. If you go further down the draft, the odds drop off a cliff. Just 24.7% of number 10 picks and 12.5% of number 13 picks ever make an all-star game. All-NBA? Even harder. The league only selects 15 players per season for All-NBA honors, meaning even great players can go their entire careers without making it. Since 2000, only 30% of lottery picks have made at least one All-NBA team in their career. That means 7 out of every 10 lottery picks never reached that elite tier. This is the improbability that LeBron was up against. Another key ingredient in becoming the face of the league is narrative. It's not just about talent, it's about the story. And LeBron's story had layers. He wasn't just a prodigy, he was a hometown prodigy. The Cleveland Cavaliers, a franchise that had been a dumpster fire for years, just so happened to land the number 1 pick in the 2003 draft. The same year that a once-in-a-generation talent from Akron, Ohio was entering the draft. Whether it was pure luck or the league nudging fate in the right direction, the storyline was undeniable. The prodigy staying home to resurrect his struggling local team. Could the hometown kid become a hero and bring relevance to a team that had been irrelevant for the past 5 seasons? These are the kind of unknowns that...
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to move it around so I don't cover up so much of the video. You kind of, there's no way to not cover some part of the screen. Just bear with me.
to get casual fans invested in the sport. With all the pressure on him, LeBron's debut was one of the most anticipated in NBA history.
All the hype, John.
No one can live up to this type of hype that's been placed on this young man.
He wasn't alone in his assessment. But here's the thing about future faces of the league. They don't just handle adversity, they thrive in it. And from the moment LeBron James stepped onto an NBA court, he looked ready. His first NBA game, it was clear LeBron was different. It was like a mini movie to the future. He showed the whole arsenal, elite vision, tough shot making, and those bunnies. By the end of the game, LeBron made people believers. That was the face of the future faith. The NBA found its gem in the making. In a league with future all-timers like Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, and Kevin Garnett, everyone was putting their money on LeBron. And the first signs of that payoff happened on May 31st, 2007. The Detroit Pistons are one of the strangest franchises in NBA history. They have been terrible for long stretches, downright unwatchable at times. But when they're in the mix, they're changing the NBA. This isn't a franchise that just exists in the background. They've been at the center of some of the league's biggest moments, whether they were standing in the way of a superstar or flat out killing dynasties. Look at their track record. In the 80s, they weren't just winning, they were stopping other legends from doing the same. The bad boy Pistons weren't built like the flashy Lakers or methodical Celtics. They were brutal, they were physical, unapologetic, and straight up nasty.
They were, and that's true, but I had the pleasure of interviewing Bill Cartwright, who was the center for Michael Jordan's first three-peat. He said, man, forget the physical nature. The truth it is, those guys could score. Those guys could score, and they had tough mentalities, and they knew how to win. And the whole physicality thing is true, but it's also overblown. It's massively overblown. The truth of the matter is, the 80s was somewhat more physical. It was not wildly more physical like people think. You can't take some of the worst highlights, like obviously this, Dennis Rodman tackling every damn body within 5 feet of the basket to the floor. That's going to look like, wow, that's what it was. No, it was not a WWE Hell in a Cell match every night like they try to make it seem like, okay? It just was not. But the Pistons could really score. And I think that needs to be said. They weren't just some ragtag tag team basketball team like Rock'em Sock'em Robot. Like, they were physical because the rules allowed it. They kind of worked within the rules. Should have been illegal, but it wasn't. But they also could really score. Like, don't discount that.
And it worked. They didn't just compete with Bird and Magic. They took them out. They made the finals in 1988, barely losing to Magic's Lakers in a tough 7-game series. They came back in 1989 and swept the Lakers, snatching the title away. In 1990, they defended their crown and went back-to-back, this time taking out Clyde Drexler's Blazers. While the rest of the league was trying to score pretty points, Detroit was knocking people to the floor. And nobody felt it worse than Michael Jordan. The Pistons bullied Jordan and the Bulls for 3 straight years, sending them home in 88, 89, and 90. They even created the infamous Jordan rules.
But if you noticed, every year Chicago got closer though. Did you notice that? Like 88, they lost, they only won a game. 89, they won 2. 90, they won 3. And then 91, they won 4. Like, they really every year got better. They got closer to that goal. Like, you gotta give respect to that.
A defensive strategy that basically boiled down to, if he goes to the rim, make him regret it. They were Jordan's last roadblock. He had to beat Detroit before he could take over the NBA.
And here's the thing. I wish centers would do that again. Like, I really want centers to start I'm not going to say knock people to the floor, but be physical. Guard your damn paint. Like, guard the basket. You know what I'm saying? Like, the rules are different, and I understand all of that. Like, there's a bridge between like a Rudy Gobert and a Draymond Green. Like, Rudy Gobert is an excellent defender, but he's an excellent new school defender. He's still not as physical or as imposing as somebody who's 7'2" really can be. And Draymond sometimes a little more dirty than he want to admit on defense. He probably don't always mean it, and that's fine. We don't care what he means. The point is, Draymond's a little more dirty than he wants to admit. But there's value in a guy who's like, look, you're not going to score. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's value in that. The Draymond, the Ron Artest, the Matt Barnes, like there's value in that. I hate to say it on a lesser level, Dylan Brooks.
2004, the Pistons took down a super team before that was even a thing. The Lakers were supposed to run through the NBA that year. They already had Shaq and Kobe, but in the offseason, they added 2 more Hall of Famers, Gary Payton and Karl Malone, to form what looked.
Here's the thing. They're going to talk about the Lakers losing to the Pistons in 2004. The truth is, Kobe admitted it was his fault. I don't think it was all Kobe's fault. I think Detroit had a really good strategy. But, I mean, it was obvious Kobe was gunning for the MVP in the finals that year. And one of the reasons I love Kobe is because he's honest. Like, I tell Kobe fans that Kobe is the reason they lost in 04. And they be like, what you mean? You crazy, man. I'm like, hello, Kobe himself said this. I'm just talking about the same thing he said about himself. You know, he said he didn't get his guys ready for his automatics. And obviously he shot too much. I mean, Kobe averaged 21, 3 and 3 and shot 39%. He was way better than that by that point. And Shaq was averaging a whole 27 and 10 on 63. It was clear, give Shaq the ball.
Like an unstoppable force. On paper, the Lakers had everything. The Pistons, they had no superstar. Instead, they had a squad full of defensive dogs and high IQ players.
But see, that's the thing. You don't have to have superstars to have a great team. And that's what Detroit proved. Not just winning this title, but like the following season in 05, they went 7 games with my Spurs. And 4 quarters of game 7 almost won the game. And from 2001 to 2007, when LeBron finally dethroned them, they went to 6 Eastern Conference Finals. They had different people at different times, but 6 Eastern Conference Finals is crazy. You know what I mean? And I talked to a guy on YouTube the other day, and I told him, for me, it was Facebook. Dynasty is 3 championships. That's just how I feel about it. But I'm willing to concede a team that 6 Eastern Conference Finals trips, 2 finals trips, 1 championship over one of the super teams. People don't want to act like it's a super team because LA already had rings. Like, come on, dog. Like, I have to give Detroit credit on that. I'm gonna say the early 2000s Pistons was a super team.
C. Billups, their fearless leader and Finals MVP. Ben Wallace, an undersized center who made life annoying for Shaq. Rasheed Wallace, an ultra-skilled bigman with a chip on his shoulder. Rip Hamilton, a non-stop motion shooter who gave the Lakers fits. And Tayshaun Prince, a long, lanky defender who made Kobe work for everything. That 04 Pistons team ended the Lakers dynasty, taking them down in just 5 games. With a similar core in 2007, they looked like the ideal team to throw a wrench in the rise of a young phenom. Fortunately for the NBA, LeBron James chose Game 5 to solidify his face card. From a roster comparison standpoint, the Cavs were heavy underdogs. 0 championship experience, led by a player who's only been in the league for 4 years at this point. Meanwhile, the Pistons' score had been the 6 straight conference finals at that point. But remember what we said about adversity. This was it, and LeBron James rose to the occasion. Tough buckets, playmaking. LeBron was checking every box. Even young Mike Malone knew we were witnessing something special. LeBron put the Cavs on his back and completely took over the game. The takeover really started with a little over 30 seconds left in the game. Cavs down 1 with LeBron at the top of the key. It's time to dance. Detroit took the lead again, so LeBron had to put the cape on again. Cavs and Pistons go to overtime and things got spooky. Detroit threw everything they had at the King. Hard fouls, extra elbows, anything to slow him down. But there was no stopping him. LeBron James was Thanos and the Pistons were the Avengers. Except this time, the good guys weren't winning. Every time Detroit hit a big shot, LeBron was there with the answer. People love to talk about Steph Curry being the first guy to get doubled as soon as he crossed half court because of his video game shooting range. And don't get it twisted, Steph is one of a kind. He's the greatest shooter ever and in the GOAT point guard discussion. But LeBron was getting doubled at half court while Steph was still taking electives at Davidson. Man-to-man, double team, zone defense, it didn't matter. LeBron wasn't just winning the game, he was snatching the crown.
That's just like in the bubble, game 5, when everybody said LeBron should have took the shot. Like, if you actually look at when he drove to the basket, all 5 defenders reacted to him. 4 of them were pretty much near him. One of them was kind of in the middle of the paint, not really near him. But it's like, what did y'all expect him to do? Like, just toss some kind of floater over 4 people? Like, come on, dog. He passed it to Danny Green. Old teammate, new teammate. 3-point sniper, set a finals record one time, and Danny Green couldn't make a 3.
The face of the league meter was rising, and Detroit had no way to stop it. At this point, the Jordan comparisons were in full swing, and in this situation, they made perfect sense. Michael Jordan was already a household name after his rookie season when he became must-see TV, but he didn't officially become the face of the NBA until his legendary showdown against the Boston Celtics in the '86 playoffs. To this day, his 63-point explosion is one of the greatest performances in NBA history. It was so legendary that Larry Bird didn't even try to downplay it. He went religious just to describe MJ. That was God disguised as Michael Jordan. You know you're the face of the league when a top 10 all-time player gives you that kind of cosign. That was.
But see, this is the problem. when you say things like God disguised as MJ, people really look at Michael Jordan from a godlike, mythological, perspective, and I think that's the problem. Kevin Garnett was like, "Yo, LeBron like the little homie. MJ was like a god." Like people have this mythical kind of image of Michael Jordan that supersedes just being a basketball player. It supersedes humanity. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous almost. It's like, of course, no one will. Of course, I also believe Michael's the GOAT. Let me say that. But I don't believe there's a large gap between him and LeBron, and I don't believe it's like people treat him like he was perfect. He wasn't far, but they treat him like he was perfect. You know, it's really not normal, to be honest. And people have to. Colin Cowherd called it a force field around Michael Jordan you can't penetrate. Anything you say that's relatively not positive, it could be just an honest critique. People jump at you like it's crazy, man.
Jordan's stamp of approval to the players, to the fans, to the entire NBA. From that moment forward, MJ wasn't just in the conversation. He was the driver of the league, and everyone else had to take a back seat. And just like Jordan had his Boston moment, LeBron had his Detroit moment. His 48-point special in Game 5 against the Pistons, scoring the Cavs' final 25 points, was the night he officially took the throne. That game wasn't just a win, it was a statement. The NBA placed their bets on the 22-year-old, and they've been cashing in ever since. You'd think that after 22 seasons of playoff runs, back-to-backs, and relentless expectations, LeBron James still wouldn't be a dominant force. But here's the wild part. No player in NBA history has ever been this good for this long. To be fair, aside from his 38-point explosion in Game 3 of the 2025 playoffs, the most recent memory we have of LeBron James doesn't really highlight his dominance because he got bounced in the first round. That said, he was all-NBA caliber during the regular season. First piece of evidence, he cooked the Knicks in Madison Square Garden. No AD, no problem. LeBron has always loved playing at the Mecca, and he put on.
I honestly think they would have beat Minnesota round one if they still had AD instead of Luka. And I'm not saying that because of Luka. I'm saying that because when they got rid of AD, they lost their size. Rudy Gobert, Game 5, 27 points, 24 boards. Really just because it was nobody else of size and of force on the court but him. Like Anthony Davis wouldn't have, you know what I mean? Like, come on, you know what I'm saying? So I will say that. But I do believe with Luka, LeBron, all the trimmings, I do believe it'll be better overall. But like that size thing killed them. And then Austin Reeves couldn't guard Julius Randle. He kept getting cooked all series. It just was a bad matchup. They got blitzed by a team that started off slow and ended strong and ended up one game behind them. The Lakers were 50-32. Minnesota was 49-33.
The show. Then came the 42-piece against Golden State. LeBron beat Steph at his own game, hitting deep threes with crazy range like it was nothing. Next stop, Portland. Another 40-piece. Full disclaimer, 11 turnovers. But the man is 40 years old putting up 40s. And then Luka's first revenge game, LeBron dropped 16 points in the fourth quarter to close it out. The numbers don't lie. That level of production with that level of efficiency puts him in elite company. On one hand, this is great for the NBA. As long as LeBron is still elite, they can keep pushing him as the attraction. But on the other hand, what happens when he finally falls off? For years, the league has been searching for a replacement, the next face to carry the NBA when LeBron is no longer on top.
I'm going to just go through this real quick. 2017 Tatum. Tatum has all the trimmings, but he doesn't have the personality or the swagger to grab onto. Luka Dončić, he's like LeBron is a hero ball player, but I don't know. Luka's style of play to me doesn't seem like it'll ever lend itself to really winning championships. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Zion finally slimmed down, but I don't think New Orleans overall has the talent. They don't even have Brandon Ingram anymore. Anthony Edwards is my next pick for face of the league, but he has to at least reach a finals before we can start to talk about it. And Wemby too. Wemby is there, especially starting this year. Wemby looks incredible. I'm a lifelong Spurs fan, if you know me. I can't be more ecstatic. I can't wait till De'Aaron Fox can really, get on the court and we can really see what we have, because I think we could have something again. Spent a few years not being so great, and we about to be better. 22 straight playoff? Anyway, let me not jump in my fan bag. Anyway, the point is, these are all great players, and by all implications, every last one of them are going to end up being Hall of Famers one day. But I'm not sure I see a face of the league out of any of them, and I say that because Anthony Edwards, he has some maturing to do. and some more like validation of the consistency of the playoffs and getting deeper, things like that.
At first, it looked like they were banking on a Zion Williamson era, but that flight never really took off. Injuries, inconsistent availability, and off-court concerns have slowed down what was supposed to be a superstar's rise.
So the funny thing is, I didn't believe in Zion coming out of Duke. I was like, I don't see it. I mean, I knew he had like raw talent, almost like a Grandmama Larry Johnson archetype. That's basically what he is. A short guy who's, even though he's short, he can make up the difference at the rim with size, athleticism, and strength. I mean, not size, but like strength, brute strength and athleticism. But to be honest, I didn't think he'd be that good in the pros. He shocked me, you know what I mean? But also, I was concerned about his health. I was concerned about that. That was the one thing. I was like, if he is good, the question is, will he be healthy? 6'6", 285 pounds. That's way too much weight on your limbs for basketball. It just is. You know what I mean? That's the size of a defensive end in football. Like, y'all remember Julius Peppers played basketball and football at North Carolina and then ended up playing in the NFL. I think he's even in the Hall of Fame. Julius Peppers is like 6'6", 285. You know what I'm saying? Can you imagine him for 15 years jumping up and down on those knees, 285 pounds? Like, that's Zion. Like,
Jayson Tatum, as polished as they come, but does he have the it factor? The NBA has pushed him as a potential face, but he really doesn't captivate the audience like LeBron or Steph Curry. Luka Dončić, a top 5 talent who took his previous team to the finals. Luka definitely has the flair and charisma on the court, but does it resonate the same off the court? Off the court appeal is a huge factor when it comes to the face of the league. Nobody embodied that more than Michael Jordan. On the court, his resume is untouchable. 6 championships, 5 MVPs, 10 scoring titles. He was the ultimate winner. But what truly separated Jordan from just being another all-time great was his impact beyond basketball. He wasn't just a player, he was a global icon.
Michael also, he had a way of talking to the media. And this is one of the things I say is the difference between like him and LeBron. LeBron is kind of brash, kind of arrogant. Sometimes he just says things, they just kind of land rough. LeBron, are you nervous being down 2-1 in this series? I'm not nervous because I'm the best player in the world. Like, it's just always like brash, you know what I mean? But Michael he quietly addresses things. So like a couple of years ago, the NBA was in France for like some NBA, France initiative, basically, right? And they asked MJ a question about LeBron because they're always talking about the GOAT debate and there's different questions each season. And Michael addressed it. He quietly said, is LeBron over here with us? And the whole room laughed and he moved on and said, he's a hell of a player. I love watching him play and I'm a big fan. What he gently did was ask them, why the fuck are we talking about LeBron? But the difference is some of these new guys, it's like Chris Paul, will the Clippers be here, in Game 7 Sunday? What you think, man? You've been doing this long enough, you dumbass. Like, and it's not that he wrong for being annoyed, but Michael had a very gentle way of dealing with the media. And they weren't very nice to him either. Like, for you to ever speculate that his gambling had something to do with his father's death, how rude of you. Like, whoever published that article 30 years ago, that's crazy, man. Like that's crazy. That's why I used to tell people, trust me, Michael went through enough hate or vitriol and whatever else you want to call it in his day too. Not like LeBron because of the social media era. And Michael already admitted he don't know how he would even deal with the social media era because he's a private person. So you got to give LeBron credit for being strong enough to deal with it, right? But sometimes the media is crazy, man.
People who didn't even watch basketball care about the sport. His off-court appeal started with the Air Jordan brand, which revolutionized sneaker culture. Jordan didn't just sell shoes, he turned them into a movement.
He really did. I'm not a sneakerhead on that level. I'm not saying I never will be in my life. I think it's cool. I think it's dope, to be honest. For me, it's more of like from the standpoint of frugality. Like the sneakers to me, it's like I love them, but I don't give a shit about Jordans enough to spend $300 on these shoes. That's just me. And then, as my money increases, it doesn't mean I won't buy a pair or two. You know what I mean? But Michael Jordan literally made sneakers a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? Like he made a non-necessity a must-have for acceptance and culture. That's deep, bro.
Jordans weren't just for hoopers. They became a fashion statement, a status symbol, a billion.
I work in Baltimore County Public Schools. I see kids all the time wearing Jordans, didn't watch them play. Like, you don't know nothing about this besides the fact that it's just a fashion statement. It's just culture at this point. This man really turned a sneaker into culture.
dollar empire that still dominates decades later. The NBA has superstars before him, but none changed how people dressed, how they moved, and how they aspired to be. His brand wasn't just tied to his game, it became a lifestyle. Then there were the commercials. Be Like Mike wasn't just an ad, it was an anthem. Gatorade, McDonald's, Hanes, Jordan was everywhere. He wasn't just the face of the NBA, he was the face of America's biggest brands. His presence turned basketball into pop culture, making it cool in a way no player had before. Does a guy like Anthony Edwards have that off-court appeal? I think so. On the court, he might just be the closest thing to an heir to the throne. He's got the charisma, the killer instinct, the athleticism to be that guy. The problem, he doesn't even want to be the face. He's quoted saying,
He said that as a young, immature statement. I don't think he really feels that way. I think he just already can foresee the nonsensical bullshit he'll probably deal with because of the media. And I think that probably makes him feel like, man, y'all can keep all that. But I don't think he'll really feel, I'll give him a couple years. I don't think he'll really feel that way. And the truth of the matter is he got to start winning more. Get to a finals. Because to his point, like he said in the video, at least Luka's been to a finals. He went to a conference finals and then a year later went to a finals. So he's at least been there. You know what I mean? But like, yeah, I think that was a young, immature statement. I don't think he really I don't know. That's just my opinion.
That's what they have Wemby for, which brings us to the final candidate, Victor Wembanyama, arguably the most gifted prospect we've ever seen. A 7'4" freak of nature who moves like a guard and blocks shots like Prime Mutombo. If he stays healthy, he could be the defining player of the next decade, but that's the problem, health. The Spurs are rightfully going to be extremely cautious with Wemby, prioritizing his long-term health over everything, but that leaves the NBA with the
I hope to God, not even just as a Spur fan, just as a basketball fan, I hope to God Wemby does not go through a series of health issues. Stephen Curry scared us in the early stages of his career, and he beat those. And we were happy to see that because look at the career we got. You know what I mean? But like Brandon Roy, Greg Oden, you know what I mean? Even DeJuan Wagner, who played for Cleveland, disappeared because of health issues. Remember that? Remember DeJuan Wagner played with Ricky Davis and Boozer for like a season or two? But yeah, I hope to God Wemby can stay healthy, man.
major question. What now? This is exactly why replacing LeBron isn't simple. Everything has to align. Talent, marketability, team success, health, and narrative. And somehow, LeBron James has carried the league for 20 years. Just when it seemed like Father Time was catching up, playing alongside his son has given him a new burst of energy. The NBA still desperately needs its next phase, but LeBron is proving that, for now, he's still more than capable of carrying the torch, which is a huge issue. We appreciate you guys for watching the video. If you'd like to stop a comment,
yeah, man, this was an excellent video. Like, I'm gonna put the channel, of course, where I got this video down in the description. But I thought it was a very interesting video. It touches on multiple points. You know, the NBA not being so great business-wise and marketability-wise before Bird and Magic. Exactly why Michael is hailed as great as he is because of how he lifted the league. LeBron James really being in this, you know, Kobe as well, but Kobe was a copy of Michael. But LeBron really being the successor as far as like, the league and really holding it the way he does and representing it for the amount of years he has. And then now you really don't have that, you know, Michael, Kobe, LeBron, like Bird, Magic. Who do you really see nowadays could be that guy? You know, I think Rich Paul said it's going to be by committee. I don't see one single guy being good enough to be face of the league at this point. I just don't, you know, but we'll see, you know, but hit me up in the comments, comment on this video. Tell me what you think. Comment on my comments. Tell me what you think about that. Thank you for watching. Peace.